Hey Tina,
Hi,
how
wait a
you doing?
minute.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, something popped up. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. For all of you that's going to be watching, this is my good friend Tina. Actually, probably more like family than really friends because we go way back. Uh, thank you for joining me though, for real.
You're welcome.
Um, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So, this show is all about cooking. It's just talking about, how you learn to cook, and just giving tips for people who are learning how to cook, and
Okay.
don't have anybody to show them. A lot of people say, go to Google, go to YouTube, which is good.
Yes.
But sometimes the Googles, sometimes the Googles be lying.
Yeah.
There's some recipes on, when you Google stuff, it's like, no, that ain't quite right. So, um, what better way I think to learn how to cook than to talk to people who actually know how to cook.
Okay.
So first things first, who taught you how to cook?
My mom did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that process like?
Well, it was at the time when I learned how to cook, I had to learn at a very young age because my mom had most sclerosis. And so she was in a wheelchair bound.
Mhm.
So I had to be mobile for her actually to cook, to prepare dinner for me, her, and my brother.
Okay.
So
Okay.
um, she gave me a lot of instructions and a lot of things I had to do by myself with just listening to her tell me what to do.
Okay.
So at 7 and 8 years old, it was
Oh.
fun, kind of fun because you in the kitchen playing and
Right, right, yeah.
but when it became a chore, I, I didn't like it so much around 10. Like, hey, I've been doing this, I'm not playing anymore. They want me to cook for real. So it was fun. She taught me a lot.
Hmm.
A
So
lot.
do you remember, so I want to ask you kind of a couple of questions about that. Do you remember like the first things that you probably cooked for you and your brother and your mom?
I remember the first thing I cooked, and it was neck bones. And
Whoa, that's
I
kind of
was
okay.
like, really? This looks disgusting. And I was like, Mom would say, just go and rinse them off, make sure they're cleaned, and put them in the water and tell me all the season. And I'm looking at her like, this is gonna be so nasty. So I would
Oh,
never forget that because the
wow.
meat was not attractive at all. I
Yeah,
was like, really,
yeah,
this is gonna be nasty.
yeah. Wow. Most people that I talk to, they start off with like eggs. Like I had a couple of people start off with eggs. I had a couple of people start off with like hamburger helper, spaghetti.
Girl, I had a
You
whole
start off,
meal.
you start off with neck bones.
Girl sit me in there for a whole meal. Yes.
You was cooking, you was cooking Sunday dinner.
So Sunday dinner for real, I'll never forget that. And when she told me to cut it was like the first dish was neck bones, string beans, and potatoes. So I
Okay,
guess she
okay.
started me with that because it was the process really cooked itself, the boiling and everything.
Right, right.
But
That's true.
the really thing she really taught me was how to take care and clean your meat.
Okay.
That's the most important thing because I see some of these young girls cooking and they just take it out the pipe and start cooking. You have to clean that meat. So
Okay.
yeah, that was the
Okay.
first meal.
So what were some of the, do you remember some of the things that just like she told you to do? Not necessarily for that meal, but just over the course of you learning how to cook. Like, do you remember some of the things she told you to do?
One thing she used to always tell me when I cook my food and cook for the house, taste your food, taste as you go.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times people just season, especially when you're looking at YouTube and you're doing videos where they have certain amount of spices and stuff,
Right.
and they may tell you a teaspoon, but then your taste buds may want 2 or 3 teaspoons. So you
Right.
really have to taste it as you go, because
Yeah.
a lot of those recipes be just basic,
They do.
but you have to take it to another level. And she used to always tell me, cook with love. Make sure you cook for love. And when you love something, you stay in there and you nurture it, because you're cooking this and presenting this for your family. That's one thing I learned
That's
from
what
my
we
mom.
that's what we talked
Mhm.
about like a couple of weeks ago with my friend. She said the exact same thing.
You have to cook with love. You can't put your food on, because I've been going through this with my daughter. She's gotten better. I said, when you cooking, you need to stay in that kitchen around your food,
Mm-hmm.
not sit down and go off and then come back 15. No, you got to constantly watch your food
Yeah.
and make changes as you're cooking.
Yeah. Yeah. So for somebody who's starting out, so I know you talked about the whole seasoning thing, and that can be very tough and intimidating for people, because it is
It is.
intimidating for me, and I'm in culinary school and it's still intimidating for me. But because I'm like, people say, you know, like season it to taste, but for someone who maybe has not cooked anything,
Right.
you don't know how to get it to necessarily how you like you don't know how to get it to that point where you
To
like
that point. I know.
so okay, so I asked everybody the same thing. So if I call you and I'm like, Tina, I got like maybe a pack of chicken legs or something like that, and I want to bake them, and I really want them to taste good, I don't know what to put on them, what would you tell me?
Okay, what I would tell you is, I used to use Lawry's a lot, but getting older,
Mm-hmm.
I have learned that that's a lot of salt.
It is.
That's too
Yeah,
salty.
it is.
So what I would tell somebody that don't cook a lot, like if you're wanting to bake chicken and you really want that season, you can buy the marinating, um, like the Lawry's marinade. They have different types of marinade. You
Mm-hmm.
can maybe soak your chicken in something, like put it in the refrigerator about 3 or 4 hours. Prep it. Preparation is very, very good for
Mm-hmm.
people that's just learning how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, if you wanted, like, just say you're cooking chicken, we all have grown kids now,
Mm-hmm.
but just for even the ones that may not, and they're starting out with young kids,
Right.
I would prep that chicken in the morning and put it in the refrigerator during the day. And that way, all day, that chicken has soaked in those seasonings up.
And so when
So,
you say prep, you're talking about prep in either a marinade that you bought or
right.
one of those.
You can your own seasoning.
Okay,
You
but
can
what season? Because remember now, this is somebody who is new, so they don't know.
they don't know.
They don't know.
Okay.
So just what would you use?
I would use what I said first. I would use the marinade, because that flavors the chicken
Okay.
automatic.
Okay.
Even if you don't know what you're doing for a seasoning. If you
Okay.
have the lemon pepper, that lemon pepper going to saturate that chicken, and you at least have a lemon pepper taste. If you don't have no salt, you will have some type of flavor when the dish come out. So it's always basic to use your seasoning sauce or garlic powder.
Okay.
Garlic, onion powder, a lot of powders that's not, because it's not salty.
That's
I
how.
will always tell anybody that way you can be a little, not heavy handed, but you can use that a little more, because it's a powder.
Right.
And you season that. And I like accent, because accent wakes up your flavors of
My
what you
mom loves
already.
accent. Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on. I put accent in eggs. I love it.
But you have
So
another seasoning that you like a lot too. What
the
is it?
nature seasoning.
Yep. Yeah.
I use that on everybody. That's what I taught all my kids to cook with, nature seasoning, because that has your blend of your peppers, your blend of your onion, your celery. It has a lot in that, and it's not that salty. You can't go wrong if you just season your chicken with nature seasoning salt.
Okay, so you could just use that.
You can just use that,
Okay.
To keep you safe. Even when I was trying to teach my daughter-in-law, what is the name of this new season? Complete seasoning.
Complete. Yeah.
That's a very good non-salty seasoning,
Yeah.
and it seasons your food. That's a great one there.
Yeah. Yeah. My
And
mom
so I
actually
would
uses that too.
season that. And for as the baked chicken, you have some people that use oil, olive oil, and they're, put a little bit of, I like to put the olive oil first and
Hmm.
just, saturate and rub it on my chicken, or you can use
Yeah.
butter or
Right.
margarine, rub it on your chicken real good, then season it, because it sticks, the
Right.
coating will help your seasoning stick and not
Right.
the opposite, because sometimes when you tend to put the butter and different things, that may run your seasoning off your meat.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we went over a couple of things. Are there any, so I didn't know that you, okay, so you taught your daughter-in-law how to cook, or you teaching her, or you taught her, or
Help her.
okay.
She's doing great. And a lot of things that she had for as basics, but I think she watched me with the seasonings, because now she don't cook nothing without nature seasoning. She
Okay.
used complete, I think it was what she was buying.
Okay.
Like I tell my daughter, Jazz will buy these little dollar seasons and everything. And I say, you know what? I say a lot of times when people get to the seasonings, they'll go the cheap route.
Mm-hmm.
I say you're gonna get the flavor that you
Mm-hmm.
that's the true saying, you get what you pay for.
You get what
If you buy a dollar seasoning salt, that seasoning salt not gonna taste like nothing.
yeah, my,
It really
mm-hmm.
is not. And then with your food, you can buy 15 different ones, but that's just my preference. I don't like to use the little dollar seasonings.
Yeah.
Sometimes I may not sometimes I may get the garlic powder.
Mm-hmm.
I may go the cheap right
If you're in a hurry or something, just
if
trying to
I'm in a hurry,
pick up
but
some, yeah.
try to invest. I would tell anybody to start cooking, fall in love with flavors, start investing and buying different things. I have learned to have steak seasoning, chicken seasoning,
Mm-hmm.
and I use a lot of broth.
Oh, do you?
I use a lot of beef broth, chicken broth. I season everything. I don't start even cooking my rice in chicken broth.
Mm-hmm.
When you cook your
Mm-hmm.
macaroni shells, even if if you cooking it just the boil, if you're cooking macaroni and cheese,
Right.
cook it in the broth. It gives it salt. It gives it flavor where your noodles are not just bland.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
My mom loves, the good seasonings too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that other one. I like this one. I always get this one.
Right.
Because I would come over her house with a cheap one. She'd be like, I don't want that.
I don't want that either. And I see me. I still use Lawry's, but it's certain things that when I really, really want that flavor,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I grew up on. I'm gonna put like on my ribs. I'm gonna put that Lawry's on them ribs. Like just chicken. I've learned how to develop different little tastes, because I used to say I don't want my food to all taste the same because I keep
Right.
using the same seasoning.
Yeah.
So I've learned how to switch it up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which I have never used the what is this? It's a salt. I can't think of the name of it.
It's
Oh.
a
It's I use this salt now. It's really, really good. That I had just cooked some beef ribs. And the recipe, I followed the recipe. It says to use the salt,
mm-hmm.
the salt and pepper and thyme. And I've never used that stuff. I've been using that on everything now that
Okay,
I'm
you gonna
bored.
have to share. Okay, you gotta share that recipe with me then.
Okay, I got it. I will send it to you. I sent it to Jasmine. It's a good recipe, even though I pulled it up for oxtails, but
Right.
I didn't have the oxtails. I said, you know what? Beef is beef. I'm gonna try this on.
Right. Yeah.
And they were so good.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to get it to me.
I did the same recipe it says for the oxtails, where I seared them. I seasoned them and I seared them a little bit
Right.
until they were brown, and I put them all in the crock pot. It was
Mm-hmm.
good. I was so proud of myself. I was like, okay, this is another taste for you.
Right.
Because when you've been cooking for so long, you get tired of the same taste.
Thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was a good surprise.
So what so you have given us some good nuggets, some good tips, but what are some other, like one other maybe important tip that you can give to somebody who is just starting out in the kitchen? And
One tip that I would give: clean as you go. because when you're new, it can get overwhelming. You
Yeah.
already new and
Yeah.
you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you have pots and pans and dishes all around you. That's going to just frustrate you more.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you clean, you cook in a clean kitchen, you're gonna have a nice meal. You cook in a chaotic kitchen, you may have a burnt meal. You may have something
Right.
burnt because
Right.
that distracts you,
Right.
the stuff that's around you. So I will always say, clean as you go.
Another thing too, and I talked about this with another guest, and she was saying how, you know how sometimes you're like, maybe, I don't know, frustrated or mad or just angry about something and how your food tastes different. You know, if you go in the kitchen,
Right.
and you know, frustrated and all the other kind of stuff. So, you know, sometimes you even just gotta take your time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of, you know,
Woosah. Take your time with
right.
it. Mm-hmm.
Woosah, take your time. So what's kind of like your go-to? Do you have a quick go-to meal?
Girl, yes, I cooked it yesterday.
What is it?
My quick go-to meal is Italian sausages. I will cut them up, you know, like take the skin off of them and chop them up into little pieces. And I fry them and season them a little bit, just a little on the sausages at first.
What
then
do you
I
season
cook.
them with?
I use the nature seasoning, and that's it.
Okay.
And I put them to the side. Then I cook my rice, however you want. You can be success rice or whatever. How I cook my rice. Then my last thing I do is I cook corn. I will add the once I cook the sausage, add the sausage and the rice together. I open my corn. I do a can of corn, and I put the corn in there. Then I season the whole pot.
Okay, so so hold on. So the first thing you do is cut up, you obviously take the skin off the sausages, cut them up, you season them with the nature seasoning.
Right. And you can use, it depends if you like vegetables.
Well, nature, right.
If you like vegetables in it, like bell pepper, onion,
right.
I like the 3 colors.
Right.
You know, because it makes it pretty.
Yeah.
And then you can, you know, go back. When you're cooking your sausage, you can have those onions and those peppers in there when you're cooking your sausages together. And wait till your bell pepper and all that's really tender. You know, then you can take it off the, you know, take it out. And while I'm cooking that, I'm also boiling my rice. I'm boiling the rice.
Right.
So once the rice finished, I, you know, cut the pike and I combine the two.
Okay.
Then I open my corn. That's the last thing.
Okay.
This is like a 20, it may not even be 20 minutes. I'll be done in about 15.
Right. And so you have to drain the corn.
Yeah, I drain the corn.
Drain the corn. Okay. Just
then you put it in.
May not know. Okay.
Yeah, then you put it in. And sometimes, because I'm going to let it simmer a little bit, I add a little bit of water, like not a half a cup, about a 1/4 of a cup of water.
Okay.
Just for it don't stick to the bottom, because you're going to let it cook a little bit, because you got to let that corn cook.
Right. Right.
So then I season it with my complete seasoning, my onion powder, my garlic powder. Then I put some more nature seasoning and the accent and pepper. And
that sounds good, Tina.
And I don't took it to another level, because I've been cooking for so many years. The kids won't eat it, but my grandkids love it. So the other day, I put some curry seasoning in it and took it to another level. And Aiden was my guinea pig. And he kept saying more. I said,
give me some more. I know that's right.
It was good.
That sounds good. I'm gonna have to make
it's like 15 minutes. And you can get, they have 3 different types of sausages. You can get the sweet, the mild, or the hot.
Right.
So it depends on your taste. If you like spicy food, I would say get the hot sausages.
Right.
But if you just, you know, sweet or mild is good. I use all 3 of them. It depends on my taste for that, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That sounds good. Well, thank you again so
You're
much
welcome.
for joining me today. We have learned so much from you, as I knew we would.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.